Hello friends! You are visiting channel Dr. Victor Fursov, entomologist, beekeeper teacher. And today in this lecture and presentation I'm going to give you some methods of collecting entomological material using different methods, especially some useful passive methods of collecting. Usually, if you are just entomologist, people can tell you that most important method for collecting entomological material, this is using sweeping net, collecting net, or butterfly net. If you're devoted entomologist, obviously you have your private sweeping net or butterfly net, and you can use it for collecting insects everywhere in agricultural environment, somewhere in natural environment, near your courtyard, everywhere where you have free time, you can use your entomological sweeping net to collect big insects. But what about small insects? What about tiny insects, smaller than 10 millimeter size, or just very tiny millimeters? Half of millimeter, like this, small parasitic wasps, or just Hymenoptera Parasitica. These wasps, very tiny, it's quite difficult to collect them by sweeping net. And of course it's difficult to sort and select them from over there, because they're very tiny. For that you can use very effective, efficient and productive method, which is named yellow dishes or yellow pen traps. This method is not active partially, but mostly passive. Nevertheless, you need to spend time, efforts, interest and devotion to collect useful material using yellow pen traps or yellow dishes. What means yellow dishes? Yes, you can buy these plastic dishes, quite deep one like that, for 200 milliliters, or you can use shallow plates, shallow dishes for one-time use, or just deep one like that. These are bigger, about 50 milliliters, quite deep one. This and this one more useful because they're deep and they're more stable. You need to put them where? You put them somewhere on ground. Somewhere on ground, between trees, between shrubs, near grass, just on the ground, on earth. Or you can just put sometimes, if you're interested, you can put them just somewhere between branches of trees, or put it on trees, somewhere just in there. So this place will collect insects which are flying everywhere around here in the air like plankton. But why they are collecting insects? Because you need to fill them with liquid. What kind of liquid do you say? Yes, this liquid is water liquid of salt and shampoo or detergent. For that you need to prepare liquid. You can use a bottle, you can use a tunnel, fill bottle with 1 liter water, put the tunnel and put here inside water 1 big spoon of salt and 1/2 of teaspoon with detergent or shampoo. Not more. You better to use shampoo or detergent without smell, like lemon smell. Just no smell, because sometimes smell is irritating for insects. Then you can use this bottle, at least for example, 3 bottles, 3 bottles or 4 bottles. Bring them to the field and fill with water with salt and shampoo in these plates. Somewhere in a field, somewhere in forest, under the shrubs, under trees, on grass, near the lakes, on stones, for collecting insects, because they will be coming here and they will be drawn inside these plates. Why they are coming here? Why they are attracted to the plates? Because they are attracted by the bright yellow lemon color. Coloration is the most important. Yellow lemon coloration, is the most attractive. It's already tested by hundreds of entomologists in different countries, in different ecological environment, in different conditions. Of course, some insects were attracted by yellow dishes and even just by white dishes. But white dishes is just passive way of collecting without any attraction. Yellow dishes attract some insects, but not many. Yellow color is the best. You can try to use red color, but it's not a good one. It's plastic, but red color is not useful for attracting insects, pollinators and Hymenoptera Parasitica like this calcid wasp. Yellow color is the best. Okay, what's going on next? You put your plates, and you need to collect them plates on the next day. You put plates for exposition in the field. For what time? Filled with water, with shampoo and salt. If you put them just in the field conditions for one night, fill with water in evening time and collect on the next morning or next day. So the exposition time will be about half of day, 12 hours, and it's good enough so you can collect insects even in water without salt. If you remain them just for 2 days or 3 days, salt is very important because insects can be destroyed in hot water, especially in the summertime. Their body, their abdomen can be bloated, swollen because of water becoming hot in summertime. And you need to collect them next day, usually. This is the best way. For that you need to use aquarium nets, tiny aquarium nets like that. Big size like that, or smaller size like that. But most important to use the mesh, with very delicate mesh. This mesh will not pass through this mesh very tiny insects. Even half a millimeter insects will be inside the net. This used for small fishes. For small fish, how you can use this net? Next day you are coming to the field and you are collecting your material, just fill the whole water with insects inside the net. And then again, take the next one, fill the water with insects inside the net. And put them again with water on the ground or under the trees or shrubs. So we will be continuing passively collecting insects, which are flying everywhere around, and they are attracted by this yellow color, like flowers we can consider from our point of view. They are attracted by flowers, they are coming here. Detergent or shampoo will decrease the water surface tension, that's why they are coming, touch the surface and drawn very quickly. Without shampooing, they will be touching the surface and can escape. With detergent, they will not escape, they will be inside, unfortunately dying slowly and eventually. But you can collect them one by one. All your 20 plates, for example, you can put plates on certain distance between them, like half of meter, 1 meter or more. Just if you can see them, just the direction where you can spread them here on the field. Somewhere, as I said, under trees, under shrubs, under big plants, under some surfaces, in a shadow or just without shadow, no problem. Some grass will make a very tiny shadow. And insects will be coming from everywhere around. Some insects will be flying, some insects will be crawling and coming inside, some insects will be jumping, coming inside, and so they will be collected here. So next day you are going to collect them inside the net. So sometimes from 20 dishes I collected half of this net, something like that, quite many of insects. But they are very flexible, they are very soft, so they will not be damaged here inside. Some insects 10 millimeter size, 1 millimeter size, 5 millimeters, half of millimeters, even 0.2 millimeters. Very tiny, they will be inside. So you need to bring them to laboratory or to your home and fill it under the stream of water, clean water, to avoid the dust of detergent on the surface of insects. Cleaning 2 minutes, 5 minutes under the stream. And after that, you need to save insects inside 70% ethanol or 90% ethanol. So you release all your insects inside the glass. Open the glass jar and release all your insects inside ethanol. Very useful to save them inside ethanol for 1 year, 2 years or even more, because they will be safe and useful for sorting and selection And for study, you can use different jars. You can use glass jars like that, or you can use plastic jars like that, plastic boxes like that. You can see how many enormous number of insects can be collected. All here, tiny insects, 1 millimeter size, 5 millimeter size. They collected in similar traps like that, quite many. Very important if you sorted them from net inside the jar, put here the label. One label you can attach on the surface, one label put inside, do not miss it, with indication of country, city, village, date of collection, or dates of collection between 1st of October till 10th of October, and the name of collector, very important, and of course small ecological details: forest, grassland, stony beach, near the lake, near the pond, under the trees, or just on the tree. So insects collected here can be saved where? In a shadow, because under the sunshine insects will be discolored. So to avoid discoloration, put it in the shadow, somewhere in shells in your laboratory boxes, and or you can put it even inside refrigerator in cold temperature, +5 or -20. In alcohol, insects will be safe before sorting, because for entomologists, for taxonomists, and who is studying systematics of different insects, here will be very valuable material of different groups. Which groups are can be collected here? First of all, I'm interested in this method because these insects will be collected. Small parasitic wasp, Hymenoptera Parasitica, from 0.5 millimeter up to 5 millimeters, phytophagous, parasitic, leptoparasitic, some pollinators, some bees, some wasps can be collected here because they are attracted by this very bright light color of dishes. Sometimes there are some problems of collecting. What kind of problems? And how you can avoid them? Of course, your plate will be during one day or half of day in a field. It will be windy and some dust is coming. Some rubbish is coming sometimes. So next day you are coming, so you can see here some leaves, some branches of trees, so you can take off leaves and branches. Sometimes some spiders are coming here. They're making very little mesh inside after dying. So it can be dust which connects some insects and can destroy a little bit them. Sometimes you can collect not important insects for you because you are studying certain group of insects, for instance. And sometimes other insects or arthropods come in here unexpectedly. Some ants come in sometimes. Many ants can be here inside collected in this dish. A lot of them because they come in just to water, especially in the summertime. They're attracted by water and they're drawing here inside because of shampoo. Sometimes come in calambulas, very tiny spring tails. Sometimes come in even with snails crawling slowly here and dying inside and making a lot of that dust. If snail is coming here, mollusks, so you need to take off snails and clean the dish because they're making too much rubbish. That's why you need to have next day some stock of water with salt and shampoo and fill it again with clean water and put it for next exposition for next 1 day, 2 days or 3 days. 1 day is the perfect time for exposition to collect perfect material of good shape, of good condition. It can be saved for years, for decades, in a refrigerator or somewhere on shelves in your laboratory. Inside 70% ethanol or 96% ethanol, because with water it will be less than 90% usually. And this material can be sorted by you, by your assistants, in laboratory during winter, spring, autumn time, before collecting summertime, and can be used for sorting important groups which you are studying as taxonomists. I'm sorting here in such material, in such mixture of different groups, which this mixture will be here. Mixture of flies, beetles, spiders, springtails, parasitic wasps, pollinators, beetles, sometimes grasshoppers come in. Sometimes come in small moths, tiny moths. You need to take them off because they're making too much dust because of scales on the surface of wings. Moths can be avoided because they're making too much dust. Sometimes come in here big flies. If you don't need to collect big flies and you do not study them, you can take them by force and take them off, or some other big insects as well. But small Hymenoptera, small Diptera, small beetles, and other groups, even some small Acari, some mites, tiny mites, are crawling and be drawn here inside. Very tiny and very specific groups which are maybe never collected by other methods, or you can collect them only inside the soil. They're coming out of soil and they can come in here and be collected inside these plates. So the biodiversity of different groups can be collected using these methods of yellow pen traps, yellow dishes, or yellow plates of Merrica traps, because of entomologist Merrica used it for the first time and introduced it for entomological community. So far so good, you know this method. It's quite effective method. Some other methods that can be used, not only sweeping by butterfly net. Other method is rearing method. Rearing of different insects from plants, from their hosts, from different other material. But this method of rearing, I have told about them in my previous issues of my previous lectures, but I can repeat it in next lectures as well. This lecture was devoted to precisely how to use yellow pen traps for collecting. If you have devotion, if you have interest to collect insects in yellow pen traps, try to use it, because this material can be used by taxonomists for scientific collaboration. Collaboration, communication is important between scientists. So this collected material somewhere in distant areas like Southeast Asia, Laos, Burma, Myanmar, or just Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, or somewhere in Africa, somewhere in South America, in Northern America, in United States, or in Canada, or even in European countries. This material can be unique because you can collect in very weakly studied place, in a weakly studied natural environment. But also you can put these plates quite easily even in a courtyard of your house, where you are living somewhere in Ecuador, in Mexico, or Venezuela, or you just immigrated to distant area and you have biological education and you have free time a little bit for observations around, for taking photos. Maybe you have time, or you would have time for collecting insects for the science. So you can we can communicate with you, we can exchange by information, we can exchange by material, and even this material can be used for sorting material to find new species which were never collected before, which can be used for scientific description of new species. You have some ideas, if you will have some interesting material collected during your time in some distant areas, and you have collected, or you will collect this material, you can contact me on this email. I just changed. You can use my email for contact. Yes. If you have some questions, I will be pleased to answer to your questions. So I can read a little bit questions in the chat and try to reply. If you have some questions, contact me privately on this email, ufancy@gmail.com, for some advices or for some proposals for scientific collaboration. This video was devoted for methods of collecting insects and was intended for English-speaking audience, so that's why don't be afraid about English lectures. Learn English, write English, read English, listen to English, study English, and you can understand English easily. Someone is asking question, how many insects do you have? What kind of insects do you asking for? I have a lot of insects. I have a great collection of small parasitic insects, which I keep in my scientific laboratory, because I'm working in the Scientific Institute of Zoology of National Academy of Sciences in Kyiv, capital of Ukraine. That's why I'm professional entomologist. I'm studying small parasitic wasps like that, for superfamily Calcideidae, calcid wasps, some tiny egg parasitoids. And my collection is dry, or just in some small glass slides, microscopic slides, because I need to study them under the high magnification of microscope, under the magnification 400 or even 1,100 times under the microscope. Thank you for your attention. Someone asking, total number of insects you own. Have you ever counted them? I never counted them, because here you can collect hundreds of insects. In both plates you can collect 500 insects. So for one season you can collect thousands of insects. And for my 40 years of experience, I collected thousands of insects which are deposited and stored in the collection of our Institute of Zoology of National Academy of Sciences for scientific purpose. I am not interested in commercial activities. I am interested in a scientific study of scientifically collected material which is stored and deposited in our national collection of insects in Institute of Zoology in Kyiv, capital of Ukraine. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for some gifts. Thank you for your questions. If you have proposals, welcome to write your proposals in private emails. If you have questions in other languages, visit my other streams in other languages, so we can discuss it in slow manner, not only in English. This stream is English stream. Thank you for interest. Thank you for gifts. If you send some gifts online, I will kindly appreciate it very much. Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day. Have a nice night. At least today we had already noise around, because in Kyiv latest nights becoming quite noisy, and you know what does it mean. Unpleasant noisy days, unpleasant noisy nights in Kyiv, capital of Ukraine, in Kyiv, capital of freedom. Thank you for your attention. Write your questions under this video. Video will be deposited on my channel, which is named Dr. Victor Fursov, entomologist, beekeeper teacher, entomologist, beekeeper teacher. If you are interested to find more videos, type this name, Victor Fursov, type entomologist, profession entomologist, in English, in Russian, in Ukrainian language, and you can find a bunch of different interesting videos. In internet you can read it, some details about me, in some social media, in some social web pages. And of course, you can understand something if you know English. If you don't know English, that's not a problem. You can learn it. So welcome to learn English. Welcome to read English, write English, speak English, listen to English. Most important, speak English, and you will understand English. If you do not understand English, no problem. Maybe you know French, Italian, German, Spanish, Portuguese, maybe you know Polish. So you're lucky if you have knowledge of different languages. You can enlarge your activities, you can enlarge your brain and your mind. Good luck, see you soon on my channel. Best greetings from Kyiv, capital of Ukraine. Best greetings from Kyiv, capital of freedom. Ukraine forever. Good luck.